Welcome to the Let's Talk Fabulous show. I'm your host this week, Gloria Grace Rand. And if you're wondering why the heck I'm singing, well, it's because today we are going to be talking about the healing power of song. And I've got the most amazing guests joining me in just a second. So let's talk. Hello, and welcome again to the Let's Talk Fabulous show. I am so delighted to be here, whether you are watching live or you're watching on a replay. Definitely let us know in the comments. And I just know I've got some wonderfully talented people here today. And first off, we're just going to jump right in and have each of them let you know who they are and where you're coming from today. So let's see. I'm going to go this way. Go to Suzanne.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Baker, and I live in Merritt Island, Florida, just south of Kennedy Space Center.
And let's see. Let's go down below Suzanne. I've got Linda there. So you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Linda Bryce here, coming to you from the Berkshires in Western Massachusetts.
All right. And last but certainly not least.
I'm Carson Shaffer, and I live on a farm just to the east of the Space Center in Florida, in the little town of Christmas.
All right. Excellent. And I'm trying to figure out how I can change this layout. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, I guess we'll go with this layout for the time being, because I do want to be able to spotlight each of you today. And so we love to have our lovely, wonderful background showing as well. So just for those of you who were, watching, and I'm still hoping possibly that John Stringer is going to be able to make it in. I know that he was coming to us from Tennessee today, so it may be that the internet connection isn't so great, but I'm hoping he may still show up here. But in the meantime, I've got these wonderful folks here. And I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put Suzanne in the spotlight here. And I want to kind of have you share a little bit about, what the power of song means to you. What does music mean to you?
Well, it's interesting because every time someone asks me what my passion is, it's always music. And I feel very fortunate because I was brought up in a very musical family. My mother was a musician. My father was a musician. My older brother was also a musician. So, and my grandmother even sang in vaudeville, So I, have a lot of music background. And to me, I catch myself humming and singing all the time. And it's interesting because I don't listen to the radio that much because I have my own songs in my head, and that's where I go. But music just lifts you up. And it calms you down if you're, having problems. But that's what it means to me. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have music.
Yeah. Well, what got you interested in, because I know that you're part of a trio that you sing. Well, what got you interested in really starting to sing, especially in front of other people?
Well, I was a ham when I was about 5, I don't know how much time do we have? No. But anyway, I've always been singing. And I remember when I was in grade school, I was one of the kids who could sing harmony. So, I was able to do that. And then, as I said, then I started doing theater, and I did community theater, and really enjoyed that. And then I moved to Florida and started working at the Space Center and did not have time for music. However, about 5 years before I retired, a good friend of mine was a musician, and she was learning to play the guitar, and she wanted to be able to, to really learn the guitar well. So she says, order to do that, we need to schedule some places to sing. So I know I'll have to practice, you know. And at that point, I wasn't playing an instrument. But anyway, so I would sing with her, and we went like to the cancer center. We did some private parties. We went to some assisted living facilities, you know, in the evenings and that type of thing. And then when I retired at the end of the shuttle program, she announced to all the activities directors that I was retired and that I could now sing during the afternoon. And that's kind of how it all got started. And then I said, well, I don't play an instrument that well. She said, well, you play the baritone uke. Why don't you get it out and practice? And I think at that time I knew about 4 chords. You know, you can play a lot of songs with 4 chords, right, Carson?
Yeah, 90%.
And so anyway, that's kind of where it started. And that was, about 20 years ago. When
I love that.
Started, you know, when I started singing. So
very cool.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you mentioned like 4 chords. Yeah, I can play the guitar, and I think it's like about four chords that I can play on the guitar well, because some of those others, they're too
I don't have enough fingers.
Too many fingers. I don't have the dexterity for it. I love that. How about the rest of you? What's been sort of your experience a little bit with what do you feel when it comes to music? You know, what kind of got you interested in it? Who wants to jump in there?
Well, I guess I'll go.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was singing since I was a kid.
Hmm.
I took piano lessons when I was 5 and went on until about 7th grade. And then I said, okay, this requires too much work. But singing was very different. Singing in choirs as an adult, in choirs and church choirs. When we lived in State College, Pennsylvania, I was in a gospel choir for a time. And it was a community gospel choir led by the gentleman who directed the Penn State group. My children, and they might be listening. So I've always been a lyric person. I mean, I love to dance and anything with a beat. Doesn't matter what kind of music it is. If it has a beat, I'm moving to it. But I'm a lyric person. And it used to be when the children were growing up that someone would say anything and it would strike a chord. I would know a song with that phrase in it and I'd start singing it.
Wow.
And it got to a point where my children would say, Mom, you know. So they trained it out of me. Fortunately, my husband, David, marvels at the lyrics that I can pull up. So he does not discourage me from that. But after the singing I'm doing now, and we'll talk about it a little later, I think.
Yeah,
the singing I'm doing now is bedside singing. And that came about after my husband died. And then I went to see my aunt in Maine and was singing to her at what would be her last night without ever having heard of bedside singing. So I'll stop there and we can go into that a little more later.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. How about you, Carson? I want to hear from you a little bit.
Linda, I want to talk more about bedside singing because my wife's a nurse at a facility. I started playing the violin in 3rd grade, took private lessons. I was first chair in the orchestra. Didn't really like violin, but I didn't want to be mean and say I didn't want to play. When I was in the 8th grade, our high school marching band director came to my junior high school and said, the marching band's going to Switzerland for 6 weeks. So it seemed like a good time to quit violin and start saxophone. So I had all summer. I knew how to read music. I was good. In saxophone, I needed something cool that had buttons. This is a C. This is a D. Because, you know, everybody wants to play trumpet, but you have to have embouchure. And I had one summer. So then I played sax. I'm the guy that my high school yearbook was like concert band 1, 2, 3, 4, marching band 1, 2, 3, 4, jazz band 1, 2, 3, 4. I was that guy. At some point, I got a guitar because I wanted to play popular music. And I never learned to read music for guitar because it's not a serious instrument, you know. And here we are 45 or 50 years later, and guess what I'm playing? And so I always thought that was funny. I'm also a lyricist. In fact, when I was putting this together, these albums aren't the best albums of all time. They're the best albums that I owned when I owned albums. And like these few right here, I was with my son and he opens it up, liner notes, and he goes, wow, it's got all the words to every song. And I looked at him and I'm like, what's it? Born to Run. And I said, first song, Thunder Road, Screen Door Slams, Mary's Dress Waves, Like a Vision She Dances Across Porches, the radio plays Roy Orbison. And I went through the entire thing in order. I said, pick another one. And so I am exactly the same way. We went to a Halloween party 2 nights ago, and the last song I heard was Monster Mash. And so I've had that in my head for this long. But I've been a long-haired rocker. We played country music. I am the National Veterans Creative Arts Festival national champion, doing all kinds of different stuff. And now I play in a Tiki Bar Band. And we play at tiki bars, and I always say our music is Buffett, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Brown Eyed Girl. You know every word to every song we play.
I love that. And I got to tell you, we actually have a lot in common because I was that band geek as well. I started playing the flute in junior high, but then we had too many flautists, I guess they call them, when I went up to high school. And so I started playing alto sax because the fingerings are the same. And so, and frankly, it was easier for me to play that as well because you have to have good embouchure for the flute too, which I did not do.
Right.
So I love that. It's so cool. Well, you know, I think what I'm going to do is, because Linda was talking about this a little bit earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and she recorded a little video about us for the show today. So I'm going to show that right now.
Linda Bryce here. Hello, everyone. I celebrate each of you. I greet you with a joyful heart. Music does have power. Did you know that music is anchored in more parts of our brain than anything else? Perhaps that's why some people who can no longer speak can sing what they want to say. I visited a woman recently who was in that position, and yet when I began singing songs she knew, she started singing right along, word for word, with the biggest smile on her face. And don't get me started on the verified health benefits of music, which is why music has been called medicine. Medicine I don't mind taking. So why not put on a song right now? Sing to it, dance to it, listen. Till next time, go well and go safely, and love abide with you.
Hey, and I love this. We've got a little musical background for this as well. So yeah, Linda, I would love for you to come in here and just tell us a little bit more about, you know, because you were alluding to the choir that you belong to and that you do the bedside singing. So yeah, if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Sure, I'd love to. It's a wonderful platform here to introduce more people to threshold choirs and bedside singing, which we can all do. And if you don't have a voice, bring music. You know, we have smartphones these days. So after my husband died, I mentioned I went to Maine to be with my aunt for her like last 10 days. And the night that would be her last, I just started singing because I sing. No guitar, no nothing, just the voice. Singing songs from her faith tradition, which I knew. And when I came back from Maine after she passed, there was an ad in the local paper advertising for singers for a new threshold choir. So here in the Berkshires, it's called Berkshire Threshold Choir. Actually, threshold choirs were, at least we're a local chapter of a national group called Threshold Choir International, which will be celebrating its 25th year next year in 2025. We've begun in California, when a woman was in a hospital with a friend of hers who was dying, and she didn't know what to do. But she was a singer, and she started singing a song. And when she saw that her friend began to relax, she, for more than an hour, she sang that one song.
Wow.
It calmed him, it calmed her. And having witnessed that, she said, why not do this for other people? And we need more singers to be able to do this. So that was the genesis of Threshold Choir International. As a local chapter, Berkshire Threshold Choir, we started in 2016. I've been a part of the choir since it began. When the woman who started it left before the pandemic, it was at a crossroads. No one wanted to take it over, and I couldn't lay it down. So I said, okay, I'll become the new head guru of the Berkshire Threshold Choir. I'm very open with my singers that I'm sure they sing much better than I do. And I bring the love and the care and the courage to care to that. So we've been, I can tell stories. I wrote a book about this. It's been an award-winning book, #1 bestseller on Amazon. And it's just full of anecdotes from the bedside. Maybe I can just give you a couple so you see through my words what music can do. One woman we visited in a hospital. She had just been admitted to hospice care. And when we walked into the room, and there are usually two of us who go to sing, so we can do harmony. The nurse was holding the woman's hand, let's call her Helen, was holding Helen's hand and looked at us and said, I'm so glad you're here. She hasn't stopped crying. So we came in and sat down. We have our collapsible chairs that we bring with us, so we always have a place to sit and we don't have to tower over people. And we began singing after we said hello. Soothing songs, calming songs. And we came to this one song, easy, rest easy, let every trouble drift away. Love enfolds you and holds you safe. The first time we sang that through, there was just a bit of a pause in the weeping. We stayed with that song, and the weeping became less and less until she stopped altogether. She visibly exhaled, relaxed, laid back, closed her eyes, and perhaps went to sleep. But she was still and quiet and left.
I love that. I'm gonna do one quick thing here, Lynn. That was so good. Have either of you, Suzanne or Carson, had an experience even like that in your own personal lives where you've, been able to share a song like that?
Yes, we see that a lot. We sing at assisted living facilities and memory care and nursing homes. And I remember just this last spring, actually, we sang at a nursing home here in the area. That's they call it a rehab center, but it's a nursing home. Anyway, there was a woman that was sitting right in the front row, and she was in one of those chairs and kind of half laid back. And anyway, as we were singing, she was really right in front of me. I looked over and I noticed she was singing along with us. So we do all the old songs from their era, so they know the words. And afterwards, one of the nurses came up to us and said, that woman has not spoken for over a year. And here she is singing, and I read something interesting. I don't know if you all probably are familiar with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he had an interview with a gentleman by the name of Daniel Levitin, who was a neuroscientist. And the scientist was talking about how actually music was before speech, that they would sing to each other, directions or what to do or how to do things and so forth. And I thought that was fascinating. But what's also fascinating is music is the last thing that people remember. So, they may not know who they are or where they are, but they know those songs. They remember the harmony. They remember the words. So yes, music to me is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Yeah.
How about you, Carson? Do you have any experience like that?
Well, Linda, I've played the same song for an hour and it made my wife weep. So.
But this stopped her weeping. This song stopped her weeping.
Every known society has music. Every society they have ever found has music. And it's so deeply ingrained in you. If you really, I mentioned it earlier, Glenn Campbell, when he was really getting towards the end, I saw an interview with his daughter, and she said you could put a guitar in his hand, and he would look at it numbly until you went, I've been walking these streets so long. And he would go singing, and off he would go. And he would play the entire song, chords, everything, even when he was to the point where he didn't recognize people. So it's truly lasts. So what I would advise to all the listeners is if you have someone that's older and getting towards the end, look what we have Google. You can look up all of the Billboard 100 or the hit songs or whatever from about the age of 15 through 23 in their life. And people that, they have a lot of Alzheimer's homes now that are really, you hear the music you heard as a kid and they remember all of it. So play that. I play a lot of service clubs with veterans. And, we play God Bless the USA by Lee Greenwood, and everyone stands. And because we were in the Veterans Creative Arts Festival, we can play all the service hymns. And it is amazing the reaction that we get when these old, like they say, it's the thing where the flag goes by in the parade and they say the only person standing is the guy in the wheelchair. We get everyone in the wheelchairs to stand. They stand up like they're young. And so at least for a while, we can make everyone feel like they're young. But music is so deeply ingrained in so many different parts of your brain. It really is the last thing to leave. So when you have somebody that they don't recognize you, I have a friend whose wife doesn't recognize him and he keeps asking her if she would marry him. And she says, oh, you're a nice looking man. I will. And I said that, but when she gets a little bit worse, find out what the hit music was when she was young, because she'll know that's one thing she'll know every bit of.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if they had a song that was their song, then maybe that'll also spark something too. Yeah. Well, I'm going to actually,
you'll find it.
Yeah.
What I meant is if you play the playlist, you'll find that.
Oh yeah.
You can see.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm gonna play your video now. So hang on 1 second.
Music is essential to the human experience. It's the sound of your soul. It's buried so deeply inside you that even Alzheimer's patients who have lost most of their mental faculties, you can still play them a song from their youth and they will tap their foot, they'll smile, they'll feel it. It's the sound of your soul. And when I'm playing, it's truly single-minded. I don't think about anything. I once had a musical director say, how does this song end? And I said, I don't know, it just does. And he said, I'm asking a musician the worst thing you could possibly ask, and that's to think. Because you don't really think music, you feel music, and that's why I love music so much.
Yeah, I love that last part where you're talking about really feeling it. Can you maybe just talk a little bit more about that?
Well, it's mindfulness. I read the book, The Miracle of Mindfulness, long ago. And in today's world, it's so hard to do something. And, the saying is, when you're washing the dishes, you should just be washing the dishes. But it's so hard. There's such a cacophony of sound around you, everything vying for your attention, especially, when you have these things. And so when I'm playing music, when I'm sitting up there on stage and I'm trying to remember, 50, 60 songs by memory, all little and flat, everything that goes along with it, I can't really think about anything else. I thought, oh, I got to pay this bill tomorrow. Whoops. Oh boy, I better think about what I'm doing. But you can't think about what you're doing because I've been playing. I'm like, oh, hey man, what's this change coming up? Oh, wow, I can't remember it. Oh no, it's really complex. And I tell myself, just shut up, stop thinking, just relax and let muscle memory do its thing. And I'll come to it and I go, doo, 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 doo. Hey, I remembered it. Wow. But so it's like, you can't think about anything else, but you can't really think about it either. It's an experiential type of thing where you're doing it. And that's by memory. Playing from sheet music is a different kind of skill, but playing by memory, you just have to lose yourself in the moment. And there's nowhere else in my life where I can truly lose myself in the moment like I can when I'm playing music.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies, either one of you want to add on to that?
Well, I was just going to say, music can make you feel however you want to feel. And so I certainly encourage all of us throughout our life to turn to music. When we sing, as Suzanne does, we sing in nursing homes and we sing in assisted living facilities. We sing wherever we're requested. We even sing in people's homes if you're there. And certainly you choose music that's appropriate for the stage of the journey on which the person is. So when they're quite alert, we sing the old songs and they sing along, just like in my video. I don't even know which one it was. Either This Land Is Your Land or She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain or something. But the woman who hadn't spoken in forever, because she, as we were told, she was nonverbal. But start singing the song that is known, and word for word. Bless you. Yeah. So we sing a cappella, and I don't go in with the playlist. I mean, the songs we sing are both popular ones, if you will, and then proprietary ones that have been written by bedside singers over the course of 25 years. But all of those songs, as we're getting further on the journey to the end, they're increasingly soothing and comforting and full of safety and protection. And not only for the person, but for the family and for the caregivers. I mean, whomever is there. We haven't mentioned the word vibration, but the vibrations of music that are sent out from a loving heart, and healing. I think it's as much a gift to us to be able to be there as for the listeners.
Absolutely.
Many of these facilities have musical programs that they have in an activity room, and that's great for individuals who are ambulatory. But when you're no longer out of your bed, that's when we are even. That's our focus. That's our focus. that will come to you wherever you are, even
Yeah.
if you can't move anymore.
All right. I'm going to interrupt for 1 second because I've been seeing a bunch of purple hearts go by, and we have a little special video that we like to play when we see that. And that's a little video just to let the folks know there's some special people that have been following this show for a long time, and they're part of also the CB4L community, and they know that video is for them, to honor them, and for some that have transitioned, it's to honor their memory as well. And I want to bring, actually, I think what I'm going to do here for a second is we've got one of our contributors to the show he is also a songwriter, although he didn't sing on this particular song, but he's been commenting today. And I'm going to go ahead and share his song because it's a lovely, wonderful thing. And we've been talking a lot about legacy on the Fab Show this year. So here's Skip's Pose song.
In the quiet moments, when the sun begins to rise, we find the strength within us. In the stories of our lives, not in gold or glory, but in hearts we've touched with grace, in the love we share with others, in each kind and gentle face. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held and the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. Through the trials and the triumphs, in the battles that we fight, it's the courage and the kindness that will always shine so bright. In the lessons that we teach and the dreams that we inspire, in the way we lift each other higher and higher. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held and the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. In the final song you sung, and the curtains drawing near, it's the moments filled with love that will echo year to year. In the footprints on the path that guide the lost and blind, your legacy will live on in the hearts you've left behind. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held, the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you've sparked in others, in the stories that are told. So let's live with open hearts and give with all our might, for the legacy we leave is a beacon in the night, in the echoes of our actions, in the whispers of the wind. Our legacy of love is where it all begins. Our legacy of love is where it all begins.
Legacy will live on in the hearts you've left behind.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yes, that's my favorite song too. I find myself actually like I'll wake up in the morning singing that song. It's really gotten to me. We talked earlier today about about certainly about the power of song and healing and for helping others, but I want to get personal with you guys and ladies actually and ask you, Suzanne, what special memory do you have about a song, or what song do you like maybe, connect with something in your life? Do you have one?
Well, actually, I do have a song that my mother and my sister and I, whenever we were in the car together, we would always harmonize on the song "Show Me the Way to Go Home."
Mm.
And I remember my younger sister got so sick of it that she would sing the song in another key as we harmonized. I mean, but anyway, well, what's interesting about it, and I hadn't really connected it until you said that, Gloria, because at the end of every show that we do, we sing "Show Me the Way to Go Home," and everybody sings. And I remember one time there was a younger person in the group that was, there, and I said, "Well, how do you know that song?" And he said, "It was in the show Jaws." I went, "Oh, I forgot about that." But anyway, yes, that's one of my all times. It just brings back a lot of memories.
I love that. Anybody else?
I remember always in the car when my dad would be driving us somewhere growing up, he'd start singing. And the one that I think he was always repeating is "You Are My Sunshine." And still today, you go any place in any home and you start singing "You Are My Sunshine," and everybody knows the lyrics.
That's the first song we sing. That's the first song we sing.
Ah.
And "Show Me the Way to Go Home" is the last song we sing.
So when I hear that, or when I think of that song, I think of Dad and the times in the car where we would be singing while driving somewhere.
I love that. See, and that's kind of proof that music does have that legacy when it connects us to our family.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say, someone said that to me, that whenever I think of a particular song, it immediately puts me back where I heard it, with whom I was, where I was. And if any music, don't we celebrate with music? Think of any kind of celebration or gathering, and we always have music as part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Carson?
My dad was in charge of the engines on a PT boat in World War II. So when we were in the car, we listened to the engine. And you can see I ended up on a race team by listening to the engine. But for me, I mean, the Jimmy Buffett song "Little Miss Magic," if I'm in the right mood, I can listen to it and I can make my daughter text me. I'll say that music transcends physical barriers. But almost every song is attached to a certain memory. I had somebody once, was like, name a song. And they're like, "Burning for You" by Blue Oyster Cult. And I go, there's this corner by a dairy in Cherry Hill where I grew up that we were riding down, and we turned that corner and that song was playing. So it's so many different memories. My family lived in the Keys for 38 years, and I would drive down. And it's a 7-hour drive, and I would just go through album after album. And every single song to me had a story and reminded me of something. So it's music for me is really memory lane.
Wow. And it's interesting. Tamara just said that she said her stepdad would say that engines sing. So
they absolutely, absolutely.
Have you heard the new electric car engines? They actually do sing.
We raced off-road remote control cars that could jump houses and all that. So we knew the sound well. But yeah,
I love
they
that.
sing.
Yeah. And when you mentioned, "You Are My Sunshine," ladies, both of you, that's what I used to sing my son when he was a baby. So I would,
we all did.
Yeah, so that's such a good song. And I know I have, whenever I would hear the song The Rose on the radio, that would take me back to high school because I got to dance with this really good looking guy who was a little bit older. I think he was a grade ahead of me, and I had a crush on him. So it's like whenever I do that, I'm taken right back to the high school gym. So it's amazing.
See, and when you said that, Gloria, where I went to was I had one birthday party growing up in my house in the basement, and we were doing the twist. And I can hear Chubby Checker and the twist going on, and the Monster Mash.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is so fun. What other, we talked a lot about the benefits, especially in helping, older folks to be able to, connect with them and help them to remember, think back to things. But what other for just, just any of us who are not quite there yet, what other benefits of song, what is so important? I mean, why does it touch us so much? Go ahead, Suzanne.
Oh, I was just going to say, I heard something interesting the other day that they said people that have Parkinson's that have a difficulty walking, that rhythm in the music is they've actually had people be able to put down their get out of their wheelchairs and get away from their walkers because you need a steady beat to walk. And it really helps Parkinson's patients. I thought that was fascinating, but yeah, music just does, it's amazing. The healing powers of music. It just goes on and on and on. It even helps, it helps your brain. It keeps you from, forgetting things, it's just wonderful to have it.
Yeah. And I love Joy just reminded me too, that songs are so important for children in so many ways to develop. And I know, and it's great for learning. I don't know about some of you, I think we're close in age, but I grew up on Schoolhouse Rock and and still remember, conjunction, junction, what's your function and things like that to be able to help kids to be able to learn.
Well, we learn our ABCs better when we sing it, right?
That's right.
And I remember my oldest daughter, I think she was in 7th or 8th grade, they had to learn the presidents in order, and there was a song. They learned the song and they remembered it. And when I was teaching at church school, there are songs to learn the Bible in order. I mean, put it to music, and we remember it.
Yeah.
I can recite Dr. Seuss. I can do The Cat in the Hat and How the Grinch Stole Christmas without looking at the book. My kids were always amazed, but it rhymes. It's rhyming. The only other thing I wanted to say is I had a heart attack that was fatal, came back on the second shock, Widowmaker. And when I came back, I didn't know how long I was going to live. And because, it's after something like that, you're pretty sure you're going to die any moment. And I didn't, and music wasn't interesting to me. And it was the oddest thing. I told my friends, I said, I'm not interested in, it's always been a huge, huge part of my life. And I said, I'm just not interested. It seems like a waste of time. There's so much more stuff we could do to be with our families, talking to our friends, but listening to music is a waste of time. Of course, I grew past that. And then I had some other health things where I had cancer and I had surgery, and I never stopped liking music. It was just when I had my heart attack and life seemed like it could stop at any second, but it was so odd. The music didn't do anything for it. At least listening to emotional songs didn't do anything for me. And so it was an odd period.
Well, I tell you what, here's my theory is that because your heart had that kind of shock to its system, that it's so connected to music, I think is why it just sort of got disconnected for a while. And I think that might be, why it was like, nope, I'm not resonating. We're out of tune, out of frequency, I think, something like that. My theory, for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's not a bad one.
let's see. I'm trying to think here. What? Oh, I know. So, do any of you? Because I think a couple of you maybe mentioned. So, does anybody? Let's talk about a little bit about music and creativity and the link between that. Have any of you experienced that? I mean, creativity in other areas of your life, even. When do you think of that?
I can't. Gloria, you and I know each other from the Citrus Club, and I'll be sitting there at a business lunch and look at the person next to me and go, wow, I haven't heard this song for a long time. And they're like, there's music playing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm listening to the lead vocals. I know the harmony. I know how to play the guitar solo. I know the bass line. I know the drum line. I know the keyboards. And so I cannot listen to music when I'm doing something else. I'm too much of an engineer. But it's really funny because, oh, yeah, no matter what it is, at least 20% of my mind is really closely listening to the music. So if I want 100% of my mind, I can't listen to music. But I'm the only person I know like that.
No, you're not. It's funny because, I remember, I can't remember if I was taking a test or reading a book or whatever, and they would play music. Oh, and meditation music? No, I listen to the song and I get lost in that, and it's like, don't play music if you want me to concentrate on something. That's interesting, Carson. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was at a writing retreat at one point where one of the suggestions was just that, to play music, but of a certain vibration that was supposed to, and for some people worked. I'm comfortable in the silence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I've done that a little bit in the background when I'm writing. It's okay, fine, thank you, and then I turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know what you mean, because if I'm writing something, I definitely can't listen to words or to songs with words.
This would be
for
instrumental,
sure.
just instrumental, yeah.
Yeah. Unless I'm doing something that's really repetitive and boring, then I'm okay. Then actually I will put on songs, because I want to have that to kind of to entertain me, I think. Yeah.
Whenever I have to do a project, painting, housework, I've got the Beach Boys' greatest hits on, or somebody like that, and I'm singing along to this up-tempo beat.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is your absolute, if you had to say, this is my absolute favorite thing about why I sing, what would that be? We'll start with you, Linda, since you're here.
Well, what we say in choir is that we benefit first, because the vibrations come through us out to the listener. And I'm getting chills as I say that. I don't ever think about that like I'm singing for myself. That never occurs to me. What occurs to me is that I want to be present for individuals who perhaps, as perhaps have had happened to us or others we know, who have lost friends along the way, who, because these folks can't do what they used to be able to do, maybe they stay in touch for a while, and then it tapers off and tapers off and tapers off. And if you read any of this literature around here, as we get closer to end of life, the biggest lament of individuals who are ending their journey is how lonely they feel, how left out they feel, how ignored they feel, how forgotten they feel. And so just to be present, just to be a person there at the side, whether you sing or not, whether you bring music or not, to try and keep up those relationships, however that works. And I completely forgot what the question was. I went in that direction.
It's all good, and it's all good. And in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a sort of a semi-commercial break, but I want to share a little video about sort of the inspiration for this show.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Share this with your friends and family and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
You know, and it occurs to me is that's really what we're even talking about today, is that the power of music and the power of song to forge those connections. So what I was asking you about, Linda, before was, you know, what was sort of your favorite thing? If you had to pick one thing that this is why I sing, what would that be?
So I'm welling up with that question. And I'd say the faces on the listeners. We had one gentleman who, when we finished singing to him, he said, "Don't go." And after a while, he said, "I could feel the love."
Love that.
And it's to be able to share that, even if you don't feel it like I'm feeling it right now. To be able to share that with someone.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that and for being vulnerable. I love that, you know, because that really helps everyone else out there, I think, listening to this, to know that, you know, that's what's important about it. It's okay to show emotion. And so I appreciate you so much. Suzanne, how about you? What if you had to pick one thing about why you love to sing, what would it be?
Boy, that's a multi answer. You know, I love to sing because, like Linda was saying, I love to see the faces on the people. They light up when they hear a song they like or they know. And Linda, you said something about singing for people because they're lonely, or, you know, just being with them. And every Sunday morning I sing, the 3 of us sing along with a church service at a retirement home, you know, 50s and 55 and over place. And the people there, actually, it's more of an assisted living, and the people there come to the service and it's like we get hugs. And they said, you know, this is my hug I look forward to every week when you're here, you know. And they love the music, and it's so amazing because I look at them now and they're singing along and they're just having a great time. But it's the people. I just love to see the people light up, and I feel so blessed to have a voice that I can share. That's another thing. You know, I feel really blessed that way.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Carson, putting you on the spot now.
I run the board at church because I don't want to get involved in the praise team or the choir debate. And because everybody goes, Carson plays electric guitar, he wants to be on the praise team. And I'm like, yeah, I grew up in a 200-year-old stone church. Don't be so sure. So I run sound equally for everyone. And music, it's a weird thing, like Suzanne said, when you think about it, you're like, well, why? Because sometimes I really hate doing it. It's annoying. And other times I love it, but it truly is for the audience. My set lists are not comprised of the songs that I want to play. They're comprised of songs the audience wants to hear. I'm an entertainer, so I do a lot of speaking. I will say the emotional part for me, I don't do it anymore since COVID. They stopped the program, but I taught disabled veterans who had problems with alcohol, narcotics, PTSD, mental health, and anger issues who were in a residential treatment center, not quite ready to go out into society yet. And I helped them learn how to speak again, because most of them have been homeless. You're not just invisible, you're also silent. Mm-hmm. That was the stuff that really that got me, the experiences I had there. But it's really just, you're doing it to make the people around you happy. And because applause is really people saying that they're happy. And if you can take people away for a little bit, even like when I was in a biker rock band, these guys go, "Born to be wild," they're not thinking about their family problems or anything else. They're in their own mind in a song they love. So that's why I like playing, because if I can be in my own mind in a song I love, playing to other people who also love that, it doesn't get much more special or a better connection than that. So it's for the people that are in front of you is why I do it.
I love that. In fact, I'm going to do this.
It's an expensive mic. Don't drop it.
Oh, goodness. All right. So we've got about a minute or minute and a half or so left here in the show. It's gone by so fast, and it's been so amazing and so much more even emotional than I would have dreamed. And I'm so grateful for all of you. So let's just go around and just, if you want to leave one last comment, word of advice, or something about songs that you want people to know, what would it be? We'll go ahead and start with you, Carson, since you're here.
Modern music is bad because of auto pitch correct. And the older someone is, the better their music was, especially to them. And at the end of their life, it's the most special thing of all. So please, if there's any way, my wife is a nurse at one of these facilities. If there's any way you can bring someone music in a nursing home while they're facing end of life, you can't imagine how much it helps.
Awesome. Linda, how about you?
I had something in my head before Carson started speaking. So I'd say, make music a part of your day.
I love that.
For all of us, it raises our vibration. It is healing. And through us, it makes us better able to heal others.
Excellent. All right. Suzanne, really quick.
Music is what feelings sound like. I love that phrase.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Sorry, wrong video.
I want to say thank you for joining us today and welcome you back next Sunday as we once again are joined by a panel of subject matter experts that will explore and focus in on our fabulous lives. Until next Sunday.